Welcome to our family forum. Hopefully we'll have a few extra people who will come in and join us. So typically we run through some of the questions that Mike Finkel has collected for us through our RSVP process. And then I have a couple updates about the charter renewal that we had last Friday. We'll go through the questions that came in from parents, and then we'll just open it up and see if there's anything that we can answer for you or help you with. So I'll start a little bit about the charter renewal process. How many of you are seasoned charter parents? Okay, a couple. How many of you have been around AMSA for 4 or 5 years? Okay, so most of you have been around for a while. So charter schools get renewed, and the school is reviewed through a charter renewal visit process every 5 years. So a charter lasts 5 years. The state comes in, they do a full check for compliance, make sure that we have all the things that we need to in place, and then they hopefully renew our charter. And that can be done in a few different ways. A charter can be renewed with a completely clean charter, which is the situation that the school is in right now. We had all conditions removed a year and a half ago. A charter school can be renewed, but with conditions. So they've seen some things that they weren't happy with, and they'll put conditions on the charter, which allows the school to continue to run, but there's things that we need to pay attention to and work on. And then it can be a non-renewal situation, which isn't a place where AMSA is at all. So this process, when we start looking at charter renewal, we start working on this at least a year ahead of time. There's quite a bit of paperwork, there's an application process that you need to go through, and we just make sure that everything is absolutely in the best possible shape going into that process. So our paperwork that was due August 1st, we got that in all on time and we were ready to go. And then we find out from the state in the summer when they're going to come in and actually visit us and how long they're going to visit us. As I mentioned, when I came to AMSA, there were conditions on our charter. It was around governance, so the board, leadership, the senior leadership of the school, which had not been stable for a number of years, and around student support services. And so one of the things when Anders and I came into our positions was to really focus on cleaning that charter. It was very, very important to us that the charter was clean and that we were compliant to state regulations, federal regulations, and we were doing the best job by our kids that we could possibly do, because they deserve that, and as parents, so do you. So we focused on that, and we got the ELL program up and running again, which is the English Language Learner program, the special education program, and we put a lot of emphasis on student support services. The board did a lot of work on governance, and we worked to be the best leaders of the school that we could be. So by June of 2018, after 2 other visits from the Department of Education into AMSA, they decided that we were completely compliant and we had met the expectations that they wanted. So they removed all the conditions from our charter in June of 2018. It was a big celebration for us. I remember crying when they called us on the phone, because it was such a relief to know that we had met those conditions and we were doing the right thing by our kids. So. But that didn't, that brings us right into this new charter season. So the date that they came to visit us was this past Friday. And it was an exciting day. We had worked very, very hard for this, and we were ready for the visit. We had been working with the teachers. We feel that we have a great administrative team in place. We have really worked so closely with the board. We have new board members that we've brought on, been very specific in what their skills are and what they can bring to the board. So we felt very good going into this visit. And and they only came for 1 day. And typically they can come anywhere from 1 to 4 days. There's an independent company group that comes in to actually go through everything, so it's not the Department of Education. They hire a third party. These folks were from SchoolWorks, and they came on Friday. They spent the entire day with us. They met with small groups. They met with me first thing in the morning, then they met with our leadership team, which included Mike, Brianna, our vice principal, and then the department chairs in that also. They met with our special education folks, ELL folks, a group of 10 teachers. So there was a lot of small group interviews going on. And then they also had 2 folks that were doing classroom visits all day long. At the end of that, I met with them. They're not allowed to tell you anything that they observed, but the leader came in and talked to me a little after 4 o'clock, said that they had had a great day. She was glowing, very happy with what they saw here at AMSA, and you know, we were going into this with a clean charter, which was exactly the situation we wanted to be in, and we were going into it as the #1 charter school in the state. Every list shows us there, and our current MCAS scores show us there still, and so they were curious and excited about coming to AMSA to see what our program is. Most of these people, they're all educators, and some of them have charter school experience too. So it was an exciting day for us. She was overwhelmingly positive, said that we made their job very easy for them. So we were very, very excited. I emailed the teachers and told them that I really had a good feeling about how things were going to go. From this point now, it's 4 to 6 weeks where they write up their report. They'll send it in to us, and we can make factual changes to it. So if there's anything that's not quite right, as far as numbers and things are concerned, then we can make those types of changes. But other than that, the report is as is. It will then go to the commissioner, and they'll make a recommendation. And I believe he puts it through a process somewhere between the end of January and the end of February, from what I saw. There's 20 charter schools in the state of Massachusetts that are up for renewal this year. So the state has had a very big job getting all of those visits done. But I want to let you know that I'm very, very happy. AMSA put their best foot forward on Friday. Our kids were fantastic. The teachers were happy and engaged, and they were ready. And the feeling, you know, I'll tell you that I, found myself in a room between 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning with our department chairs and with my leadership team, and the cohesive feeling that was in that room. We've all been working together for going on 3 years now, in very, very close collaborative relationship that we have. And at one point she said, "How often do you guys meet?" Because I think she was just kind of surprised at the flow in the room and the feeling in the room. And I said, we're together every week. We meet every week. And so I think she could really feel that, of the great relationship that Mike and I and Brianna have with those department chairs. And to be into that room with them was a very, very comforting feeling. So I really believe that the school is in good hands. Your kids are in good hands. And we've got a great program for them, and I think we're going to see that everyone else is going to recognize that from outside too. So, any questions about the charter renewal process or any of that?
Congratulations.
I just keep saying, I don't want to get my hopes up, but the goal is no conditions on that charter. We should not have conditions on our charter, and if we do. It will be some small things that we will continue to work on, because we're trying to get better all the time anyway, right? That's the whole goal. You're never happy with where you are today. You just want to get better all the time. So thank you, yes. We're excited about that. Yes?
This process goes every 5 years for renewals?
It does. Every 5 years. And it's interesting because in a regular district school, they go through other types of certification and that, but they don't have that hanging over their head that every 5 years they have to go through this renewal process. So we're in a position where we need to sell ourselves every 5 years, and that's okay. I mean, we're ready for it, and this is we've had these visits from the Department of Education over the years, and so we definitely knew what to expect this year. And we're very involved this year with there's a Massachusetts Public Charter School Association, and we're back involved with that association too, and they've been a great support to us through this whole process too, so we were ready. But yes, every 5 years. And it'll go on forever, unless the law changes.
Which I think is a good thing, because it keeps us on our toes.
Yeah.
And we have to, complacency is never an option with a charter school when you're under review like that, quite often. So the students were great. Ellen mentioned it. It was the day after Halloween when they came in, so good thing they didn't. They held off on the candy for us, I guess. Or maybe they were crashing from the sugar. I don't know. But they were great. They were great.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those things that, because we had some options on dates, and you have to avoid when PSATs are, and you have to avoid this week for that, and this for that, and that. So we came down to this week, and we didn't want it in like September, because there's just too much going on. So I'm a person who doesn't plan things typically on Mondays, because I like to think about it on Monday on what's happening the rest of the week. So anyway, this was like, no, this can't happen in September. That's like my Monday.
Yeah.
So anyway, we were just absolutely thrilled. It was a wonderful way, really, to showcase AMSA and to show them what we have here, because this is a very, very special place. And that was something she said. She said, I can feel that. We got a chance to talk for a little while, and at this point now she's relaxed because it's over, right? She doesn't have to really worry. And so I talked to her about how much this leadership team means to me, and these department chairs, and Mike, and what we've been able to assemble, and these wonderful teachers who we really do love so much and are so committed to them, and these kids, right? So you get a chance to tell them really who you are. And so we had a nice opportunity to spend probably about 20 minutes together alone, just kind of talking about really what a special community AMSA is. And it's important for that message to get out, I think. All right, so someone had a question about the admissions process. Is that person here? Okay, so they'll have to email us. Is anyone have any question about admissions at all and how you get into AMSA? In case you have any friends, the admissions page is open, the application is open, so if you have any friends that want to apply, feel free to tell them to go ahead and do that. The last I heard, and this was actually a couple days ago, we were up to 304 applications, I believe, a little ahead of the pace from last year, and yet she said they're dropping 20 and 30 at a time. It hasn't been open quite a week yet, I don't think. So if anyone, and we will often get about a total of about 800 applications between grades 6 and 9. So if you have any friends, you can let them know. The admissions page also has all the information on it you could possibly want. Or Linda Edwards is our registrar. Someone asked about a building update.
Probably everybody, no?
No. So some of you, is there anyone who either hasn't been either to our last family forum or to the last PTO meeting that we spoke at in September?
I haven't been there.
Okay.
Actually, I'm curious.
Okay, all right. Well, I don't have much to tell you, honestly, which is, I guess, the way that we've been doing this for the last little while. So, it was a couple of years ago, and we thought that we were really, really close. We had bought the white building. We were close to this building. We had a nice evening up here. We had a lot of parents with the posters and all of the plan, kind of the 7-phase, 10-year plan for building out the campus. And things haven't gone the way that we had hoped. I mean, obviously, we don't own these two buildings yet. We still own the white building. But what I can tell you on the positive side, and I've said this so often, but to me, there's nothing more important than building relationships. Things don't happen, deals don't get made until you've built some type of relationship. Welcome. And so that, although we haven't been able to come to a deal with our landlord, what we've been focusing on really is building that relationship with him. And he and I spend a lot of time together talking. We email, we've had an email conversation going on today. So we're in very close contact, which is not how things have been going over the last 10, 12 years. Some of you may know that there was a lawsuit, a number of years ago that we won, and so we're working on building that relationship with our landlord again. And so I've worked very, very closely with him through the spring and through the summer, and some of the results of that have been the new walkways. If you've been over to the lower school building, he ripped up all summer. He worked here they worked here for many weeks. He had a whole crew of people, ripped up all the old sidewalks that were very, very narrow, and he put in big, wide sidewalks. One of them is 10 feet wide down one side, it's 8 feet wide down the other side, the whole platform area. He redid the landscaping, which there's still parts of that are pending. He changed he widened the sidewalks down both sides here too, and put a new platform out in front of this building. So there was a lot of work that happened. We had a lot of potholes. They've been there for years. And so he also had a crew come in and professionally cut those potholes out and then refill them. So we don't at least have the potholes now. So David's worked very closely with us over the last 9 months on fixing things like that. He's did a lot of work in the summer, even on the HVAC system, especially in the other building. So what I can tell you is that the relationship there that has been almost non-existent for a number of years is much, much, much better. He and I, as I said, communicate regularly. We see each other regularly. And so it's from that place that I think negotiations come, right? And I think that's where we're going to make progress. So that's where we are. We're at absolutely no concern about him ever asking us to leave these buildings. I believe that right down into my gut and he's told me, Ellen, I will never ask you to leave. And I believe that's true. He had a very good relationship with the founders here when he created this partnership with Julia, who was the founder of the school, and he does care about AMSA, and he wanted to be part of the success of that. And things went a little awry. His parents, who I've now met on several occasions, follow the school very closely. They care about it. The dad, and they're elderly, but the dad, told me all about the statistics of the school and things that he knows. He follows the school, and they really care about it. So I think we build on that going forward. So that's all I have, except that there's active conversations and active things happening with David all the time. So that's about what I have on the building. Any questions about that?
I know at the last forum you talked about how he was trying to be proactive by removing the for sale sign that was on the building.
Yeah.
But I noticed he hasn't taken the one out by the street. Is he truly interested in selling it to the school, or does he feel like he's got one up on us because we've already bought the white building, so now he's holding the cards? Does he really want to sell it to the school? Or
Yes, I really believe he does want to sell it to the school. There's a lot of business implications into selling a commercial property, and so he has to look at that from that side of things too. And I understand where he's coming from with that, so we've had conversations around that too. So yes, you're right, and I approach things usually one at a time, and so that was another piece that I said to him. We were talking about things, and I said, David, and it was actually the potholes that I was trying to get fixed. And I said, I had a parent survey, and it's the potholes are a problem. The potholes are a problem for our parents. They're a problem for our teachers and for us. And some, people are going to pop tires, so I'm going on and on with him. And he said, that's when he said that he would fix those. And I said, you've got to think that I've got families that drive up here every day, and they see that big red sign up there, And so we've gotten kind of, we can banter back and forth and that. And he's like, oh, you want me to take the sign down? I'm like, yeah, I really do. I really want you to take the sign down. He says, oh, I'll take that down. I was just mad, Ellen. I was just mad. I'll take the sign down. So he took the sign down. Yeah, that was another day of celebration, right? But you're right, the front one didn't come down yet. So, but I gotta space things out, right? Right now, we have some HVAC issues on the 3 computer labs in the lower school building, which he's actively working on. There's some parts ordered that's supposed to come in today. So I mean, like that's, so things are moving and he's here on campus all the time. That is, a 180 from 3 years ago. Yeah. And he's welcome here all the time, he knows that.
I have nothing to add on that front.
That's when you just kind of like, yeah, I'll deal with it.
Yeah.
We kind of split our duties in a little different way. Anders and I did a lot of things together, and Mike and I split in a little bit more of a traditional way.
Okay, so there was a question that popped up / comment about backpacks, the size of their child's backpack being packed with books. Is there a person here? No. Okay.
But we all could probably say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So my suggestion, I'll just say this on camera again. We really encourage any students who are having difficulty. Sometimes it's a time management issue. Sometimes it's, for lack of a better word right now, a fear that they might have to use their textbook in every single class during the day. I encourage students to communicate with their teachers to figure out, try and figure out in advance, ask them, when will we need our textbook in class. Utilize their lockers for sure. Lunch is a great time to utilize your locker, especially in the lower school. They have specific time during the lunch period to actually go and access their locker. So you could split up your day in that fashion. High schoolers, from what I understand, the majority of them say they don't use their lockers anyway. They seem to have it all figured out, but
it's not cool at a certain age.
Yeah. So, but with the heavy backpacks, there are. One other option. We do have several students who have the like the rolling style, like luggage style backpacks. In the high school, we have some students that use that, 8th through 12th grade. Our lower school students can only carry tote bags. They can't carry backpacks during the day, so that sort of eliminates it. At the end of the day, there's really not much we can, it's if the student's bringing home 8 different textbooks at the end of the day, if it's a 6th grader, 7th grader, and they pack their backpack, I think it really comes down to that student reach out to the counselor, like I said, reach out to their school counselor or to their teachers to work on time management. We have the directed study program, so the directed study teacher could help the student out with organization as well. We certainly don't want students to overpack their bags for work or for assignments where they don't even need it. I just don't, I can't imagine a situation where a student needs every single textbook and every binder in one night. But if that's the case, and there's no way around it, if that person's watching right now, or any of you have any questions, email us. We'll help. We have many suggestions, and that rolling option is one that I've seen more and more over the years. And students are just rolling along, which is a good idea as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've seen sometimes with the younger students, especially if they're new here, if they sit down with the school counselor who prints out the schedule and says, okay, here's a good time, your locker's here, here's a good time, and here's a good time. Just sometimes they don't think out, oh, when would be a good time in my day that I'm kind of close to the locker. But you put a little X, go here and go here, and sometimes that can help. But I agree. I think sometimes they think they need absolutely every book, and if they get home and they don't have it and need it, and so they're packing 50 pounds on their back, and that's not good for them.
Yeah, it's not.
But it's using the locker for the older kids. They just don't think it's a cool thing to do.
And they seem to have it figured out. I don't see high schoolers walking around with, a bunch of books and leaning over or anything like that. But again,
part of that is I don't know if it's still like that, but when my boys started in the elementary school, or in the lower school, they had to have even day, odd day binders that were like 3 inches thick. So that took a big pour. When they got up to high school and that wasn't the case, they all typically go on the folder routine, because the folders are so much thinner and they weigh less.
Yeah.
So I don't
Yeah.
know whether they still require the even day, odd day binders at the lower school.
I'm not sure.
But they are like, you know, they're
Sure, they do
specific,
that.
like 2.5, 3 inch. When you take that and fill it
Yeah,
out.
Yeah, they have supply lists still, so
Yeah.
they still may be on there. But, you know, anyone who has a child who's going through this, we have a team of people here who are ready to help. We'll all help with that situation, so.
And I think they got rid of the 3-inch binders.
Did they get rid of
Yeah,
that?
for the lower school, but still, it's like 2-inch,
Oh,
1
yeah.
inch, you know.
Yeah, Jean's back there. This is one of our teachers.
For reminders, if they would like, prefer for the younger, much younger students, some teachers, because they have a lot of handouts to do binders, they can do very small binders, but they're not doing an even day, odd day system
Yeah.
anymore. Some of them still do opt to carry everything in one binder, but they're not carrying a bag around too, they're just carrying like
Yeah.
one kind of binder thing.
Christine's a wonderful, she's a veteran directed study teacher here. I think it's safe to say that our directed study teachers are there to help with organization. First couple weeks of school, I know that's what you go over, I know that's what the directed study teachers go over. So even though it's first quarter, if it's the middle of the year, the end of the year, students need help, they just need to reach out, communicate, and we'll help them out. The next one had to do with arrival in the morning. So I guess there are some, anybody write anything about the buses arriving too early to campus? No? Okay. I guess that person can email us.
Yeah, the question was just around,
I think some of the buses are showing up they're showing up to campus right around 7:30-ish, and at 7:04, so campus opens at 7:25. Buses arriving around 7:30. Students are, I guess they don't want to come to the cafeteria and hang out until 7:40, because at 7:40 we have a Rocky Balboa theme song that goes off, which means you can now go to homeroom. So from 7:25 to 7:40, students are free to hang out in the cafeteria. It sounds like from this person's comment that some students don't love going to the cafeteria, so they are they're meeting up with their older friends who drive to school, and they're sitting in the car out in the parking lot, probably listening to music or doing homework real quick, whatever. I mean, we have a staff member out there in the parking lot, so there's supervision. It's not like they're out there on their own doing, you know, anything they want. So, yeah, I don't know how to really answer that one, other than, I mean, students are free to do that. We have supervision out there, but the cafeteria is always open. It's always open. I don't know. It's rare to hear a complaint about a bus arriving too early, because we usually hear the complete opposite. So, it's a good one. But that person, if they're watching this right now, feel free to email if they want to go in any more detail about that. So.
yeah, and then the only other update I'm thinking about is we started, so last year we started an academic excellence committee. We've had 27 teachers and administrators and staff on that committee. It's been great. There was a lot of new initiatives that came out of that committee. This year we started an integrity committee, and next year we're going to add a community committee. We've got about 14 of us that are on the integrity committee, and we're meeting actually the second time tomorrow. The idea is, how do we really make you know, our core values part of our everyday life, and for our students to think about not only integrity around academic integrity, but also just how to be good, honest people. But that's it's a soft skill almost. It's not something, how do you learn that? You learn it at home with your parents are an example as you're growing up, and then how do we translate that into the school community, which then will translate someday into the workplace when they head off to college and they become adults. And so, that's the idea, is to, one of the things we're expanding the core value awards, the weekly awards, and so we're working with Mr. Finkel and Lynn McCluskey, who's assists Mike and I. She and Mike are going to be working on expanding that to recognize more students more often around the core values and certificates and things like that. So as I said, we're meeting for the second time tomorrow. If you work for a company that has a great program where they work on those types of values and bringing that into your work community, there are companies out there that do that kind of work. We would love to hear anything that they do to help support those types of values in your workplace. So there's the integrity thing.
Yeah, I mean, we're always looking to reinforce the core values. We implemented those that are up on the wall. Last school year was the first year, so we're in the middle of the second year with those. And we don't want those to just be on the wall, sitting there and not discussed. So we're really trying to pay close attention to it. We reached out to the staff recently. They submit stories when they have the time or when they think of it. They submit stories of great deeds by students or their fellow colleagues that happen here on campus. So they're sharing stories, and Mike Finkel posted on our newsletter. But we're looking for more of that. We're just looking to further reinforce the core values and celebrate success stories and positive stories that contribute to the community. So.
We've also, if you came in and out through the front door, you saw that we've got some new items that are approved for the uniform. And these are just to add extra layers. The other uniform pieces are still fine. The old logo is fine. The new logo is on the new pieces. It looks pretty snazzy. And so you can take a look. The kids like the quarter zips. There's some things that Linzey phased out, and we just added some pieces, so if it interests you. They are running, I bought some more items. I think I have a whole wardrobe now of AMSA things. When the kids have dress down days, I like to wear their uniform. That's dress down for me, but I just bought 3 pieces, but there's like a 40% off sale, and I just saw there was another one for 50% off. So it's a good time. Plus, the PTO has been fantastic. I think they had a PTO meeting last night. Doing the used pieces too, and so all those are still, granted in, but yeah.
So, because you're talking about the wear, when you do the spirit wear, like the AMSA sweatshirts and what have you, why don't you have those on the back or something, if you want to promote the 3?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, that's
so that they were kind of...
One version of the logo has those on the bottom, but I'm not sure.
The adults, we have them. One year we gave the staff. It has the integrity, excellence, and community down the back.
Or maybe when you're rewarding them, the certificates, you could have a T-shirt.
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
we had the budget for that. I was thinking about it because where I came from, their theme logo was Think Care Act, and so they had Think Care Act T-shirts that as the kid got a certificate, they also got a T-shirt.
Or maybe it's the sticker.
Yeah, the sticker. Oh, speaking of that, I'll give you a heads up. This is something Mark Vital is running. So Mark is our community outreach manager, but he has a new program he's using for fundraising. But this is kind of nice for teacher recognition, maybe even for the holidays. So you'll be getting something in the mail soon, but he has had these little pins made. And so for a donation, you can recognize a teacher. So you could say, I want to recognize my, Miss Crocker over there. And then during community meeting in December, right before we go on break, we will be giving out certificates to the teachers, little frame certificates along with their pin. And the pins have the year on them. So we run this every year. It will be part of the annual giving campaign. It's a fundraiser to support the school and programming at the school. And so each year, the year will be different. So the teachers will be saying, oh, I got one in 2019, in 2020, 2021. So you'll be seeing something coming out about that. We're kind of excited about that. And there's a golf tournament coming up too. So you'll be getting more information. The PTO folks are going all out. And so June 22nd, save the date, golf tournament.
So did I miss, we have a new logo? Did I miss a thing?
See under the eagle. So we updated the eagle. We updated the logo a while ago.
Oh, a couple years ago? It
was actually
all right.
The beginning of last school year, so it's like one full year.
Then it says the charter school under it.
Yeah. So if you notice, they separated out the AMSA has a little separation to it to make it look a little cleaner.
It was connected before.
And we added the core values on the blue banner. There actually says integrity.
So is that what so if we ordered uniforms this year, I'm assuming
the new version
they came
now.
with the new logo? I didn't realize we had a new logo. I know it says charter school.
Yeah.
It went to say charter school about a year or 2 ago, right?
Yeah.
We added that?
Yeah.
This
We
one has
changed
the
it
core
since then.
values. And then we updated the eagle because the sports teams thought that the eagle was kind of old-fashioned, I think. And so they wanted something a little sharper, so we updated that eagle too. So I've done it about a year and a half or so.
Yes, I'm assuming that whatever I've been ordering, that Land's End has the most current logo.
Yeah, they do now, because it takes some time to make that up too, but they do now, and that's what they're selling right now if you go on the
Okay.
website. I don't know what date that was. If you ordered in the summer, it's
I
likely
did.
that they had the old one, and that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. But I do love that new logo. When I see the old one, I go, ooh, I just love it. I think it's sharp and updated.
Anybody have any questions for us about other topics?
Liz, any updates from the board or anything that you can think of?
No, we had just following on, we had a really good meeting, because the board met with School Works last week too, and no, we had a great meeting. They seem to be, same thing you experienced, they seem to be very pleased with some of the things that we talked about and had implemented, so we, things that we've changed. They seem pleased with, so I think we're all good.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, feel free to join us for a Board of Trustees meeting there the last Thursday of the month. We have 11 board members and myself, where we meet right here in this room. Yeah, we have awesome meetings.
This month it's second to last because of Thanksgiving.
That's right, because
Yeah.
we actually are skipping November and it's December 5th, so if you're interested in coming to a board. Anyone have any questions or anything you're curious about?
I was just more curious if there's even any plans on eventually, like, instead of those thick textbooks that the kids are getting, that you go through more of the e-books
E-book, yeah.
using Chromebooks or anything like that.
The math department's actually just purchased this year. We have the hard copy of the book too, but there's also a version that the kids are using that's an ebook.
Oh, okay.
So the math department's just starting to investigate those, and Luba's been talking, Luba Schmidt, that's the department chair for math, she's been talking for the last several years to me about wanting to try one out, but don't play with Luba's curriculum too much, right? So she really wanted to make sure that she was finding the right one. Our math scores aren't #1 in the state for no reason, and Luba's very, very careful. She finally found the right, I believe it's a pre-calculus curriculum, so she's starting there. The lower school curriculum is all done and created between Luba and Dilip Gandhi, and so I don't think that will change anytime soon. That's all been created by the school.
We are utilizing Chromebooks more and more in the classroom. How many carts do we have right now?
Oh gosh,
We have
Lots.
around 700 Chromebooks, I think, total right now for the school.
it's about 30 per cart. This cart's in all the buildings now, and the teachers, from generally, Christine, what I hear is you're not waiting for them. They're generally available when you need them.
Yeah, just sign them up and have time and plan it out, and, just a matter of knowing which room it's going to from and getting it where it needs to be in. Generally not an issue, there's enough of them around.
Yep.
Just a matter of which room you're gonna grab from, so.
Right. The goal is eventually to have one in each classroom. And yeah, interestingly enough, those little buggers expire. And so they only last for so many years, and then Google stops updating them. So that's challenging.
Just like
It's like your phone.
Okay. Right.
Planned obsolescence.
That's right, planned obsolescence. And so that makes it challenging, because just when you think you're starting to get close, you're like, oh, actually, these are no longer. And because we now do so much testing, not only MCAS on those Chromebooks, but this year was a trial with PSATs for 9th graders. Next year, all PSATs, so 9th, 10th, and 11th graders will all be done on Chromebooks. So they have to be able to accept the most up-to-date software, or they can't take the test on them. It makes them worthless to us. So, but that's the goal. And some of the fundraising that we'll be doing will be going to help us to replace some of those. Because at one point we bought a large number of them, right, when we were really trying to stock up, which means that they will expire all around the same time, within a year of each other. Yeah, themselves.